Ray said he wants all 14,000 by Friday, Denise. Or he's putting your brother in the ground.
Miss Carter, walk me through what you did.
Your badge, please.
I didn't mean for it to be like this.
But it is like this, Mama. And you let it be.
The phone on the bathroom sink is on speaker, but Lorraine's voice still feels like a hand wrapping around Denise's throat. Ray said he wants all 14,000 by Friday, Denise, or he's putting your brother in the ground. Denise stares at her reflection. Her hands grip the porcelain so hard her knuckles ache. She has had exactly 11 hours to enjoy the $12,500 promotion bonus sitting in her bank account. 11 hours of breathing room in a 41-year life. Now her mother expects her to light it on fire. "Mama," Denise says, her voice dangerously quiet. "If Terrell totaled that car, where is the insurance money?" On the other end of the line, Lorraine's frantic, breathless sobbing stops. Just like that. No tapering off. Just cold, sudden silence. "Your brother's life is on the line," Lorraine snaps. "And you want to play detective?" Denise closes her eyes. There it is. The pivot. 22 years of this and she can still feel the whiplash every single time. The way her mother's grief transforms into fury the instant Denise asks a question instead of writing a check. "I'm just trying to understand what happened." What happened is your brother owes a dangerous man $14,000. What happened is you got a bonus that could save his life. What happened is I raised you better than to let family drown when you got a life raft in your hands. Denise opens her eyes. The woman in the mirror looks like someone standing at the edge of a cliff, calculating whether the fall will kill her or just shatter everything she has left. "Your father would turn over in his grave," Lorraine says, "if he knew you had money sitting in the bank while your brother." "I have to go to work, Mama." "Denise, I'll figure it out." The words leave her mouth before she can stop them. "I'll figure it out." The same 4 words she has been saying since she was 19 years old, standing at her father's funeral in a borrowed black dress, while Lorraine gripped her arm and whispered, "You the strong one now. You gotta hold this family together." On the phone, Lorraine's voice shifts, warms, softens into honey. "I knew you would, baby. You always come through. Call me tonight." The line goes dead. Denise stands in the bathroom for a long time, still gripping the sink, replaying the conversation in her mind, the crying that stopped like a faucet, the question about insurance that Lorraine slapped away, the speed of that pivot from victim to victor, once Denise said the magic words. She does not move until her hands start to cramp. The facilities hub sits in the basement level of Honolulu Harbor Tower, a gleaming downtown office building that most executives never think about, and have certainly never visited. Denise pushes through the door at 7:58 a.m. and finds Pam Okafor already at her station. Pam is 58, Nigerian-American, head of housekeeping, and the closest thing Denise has to a best friend. She looks up from her clipboard and studies Denise's face, with the kind of attention that makes lying pointless. What happened? It is not a question. Denise drops her bag on her desk. Nothing. Denise? It's nothing, Pam. Pam sets down her clipboard. They calling about that bonus already, aren't they? Denise does not answer. She does not have to. Lord. Pam shakes her head slowly. That man stays in trouble like it's a paid position. How much this time? 14,000. Even Pam was not expecting that number. Jesus. What did he do? Mama says he owes some man for a car. Says it's dangerous. Says his life is at stake. And she wants you to pay it, obviously. Pam is quiet for a moment. Then, you know what my mother used to say? Every family has a goat, and every family has someone who feeds the goat. You've been feeding that goat for 20 years, Denise. When does the goat learn to feed itself? Denise pulls up her computer and starts logging into the facilities management system. Her hands are still shaking slightly. I don't have time for this today, Pam. You never have time. That's the whole problem. The call to the 14th floor comes at 2:47 p.m. Denise has never been above the 4th floor of Hanwell Harbor Tower. The executive levels are another world, one she knows only from the cleaning staff, who service those offices and return with stories of marble floors, original artwork, and silence so thick you can feel it pressing against your skin. Her supervisor, Greg Lassiter, delivers the news with barely concealed irritation. Mr. Kang wants to acknowledge the team for the Harbor Tower response. Conference Room C, 14th floor, 3:15. Denise nods once and says nothing. She has learned that saying nothing to Greg is usually the safest option. Now she stands in the elevator, watching the floor numbers climb, acutely aware of her appearance. Navy polo, khaki pants, steel-toed boots. Everyone else in this elevator is wearing a suit. A woman with a Chanel bag glances at Denise's boots and looks away. The 14th floor opens onto silence, so heavy the air itself feels expensive. Denise keeps her spine straight and her face neutral as she walks toward Conference Room C. She will not give anyone on this floor the satisfaction of seeing her shrink. The room is already full when she arrives. Senior managers, property directors, executives whose names she knows only from email signatures. They are all seated around a long mahogany table. Denise hesitates at the door for half a second, then steps inside. And then she sees him. Kang Jun-so sits at the head of the table. He is younger than she expected, late 30s maybe, with a stillness about him that makes everyone else in the room seem slightly blurred by comparison. He is reading a document. He does not look up when she enters. Greg waves her toward an empty seat. She takes it, keeping her hands flat on her thighs under the table where no one can see them tremble. As I was saying, Greg begins, launching into a narrative that centers himself so completely, Denise might as well have been a bystander. We coordinated with emergency services, rerouted the water main, and had the affected floors operational within 36 hours. Mr. Lassiter. Kang Jun-so's voice is quiet. It does not need to be loud. The room goes still. He is still looking at the document in front of him. The after-action timeline indicates that Ms. Carter was the sole senior facilities representative on site for the first 9 hours of the incident. Now he looks up. His eyes find Denise's, then move to Greg. You arrived at hour 11. Is that correct? The silence stretches. Greg's face cycles through several expressions. Surprise, irritation, something that looks almost like fear. There was traffic, and I had to coordinate remotely before I could. Ms. Carter. Jun-so turns his full attention to her. Walk me through what you did. Every eye in the room shifts to Denise. She feels the weight of it, the scrutiny, the skepticism, the quiet assumption that she will stumble. She does not stumble. She tells him exactly what happened, step by step, without embellishment or apology. The burst pipe at 11:43 p.m. on a Saturday. The water pressure reroute she improvised when the backup valve failed. The coordination with Battalion Chief Morrison from the fire department. The insurance adjuster she called at 6 a.m. Sunday morning. The temporary climate control system she rigged to prevent mold in the flooded sections. When she finishes, the room is silent. Jun-so studies her for a moment. His expression reveals nothing. Then he says, addressing the entire room but still looking at her, effective immediately, Ms. Carter is promoted to Assistant Director of Facilities Operations, with a $12,500 bonus and a salary adjustment to $71,000 annually. Denise's heart stops. She sees Greg's face go white from the corner of her vision. She sees the other executives exchange glances. She feels her hands trembling under the table and wills them to be still. Thank you, Mr. Kang, she says. Her voice does not shake. He nods once, and the meeting continues. But Denise cannot hear anything else that is said. She is too busy trying to understand what just happened, and too afraid to believe it will last. That evening, alone in her apartment, Denise sits on the edge of her bed with her phone in her hands. 3 text messages glow on the screen. The first is from Terrell. Ma told me you got promoted. Congrats, sis. You know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't life or death. Ray ain't playing. I just need you to come through one more time. The second is from Keisha. Girl, don't let Mama stress you, but Terrell really is in trouble this time. I wish I could help, but Devin just got laid off, so we barely making it. The third is from Lorraine. Call me. Denise does not call. Instead, she opens her banking app. The bonus is still there, $12,500. She has a list on the notepad beside her bed. Things she has needed for years. New tires for the Civic. A dental crown for the molar that has been cracked for 8 months. A security deposit on an apartment without mold in the bathroom. The beginning of actual savings. The beginning of a different life. She runs her finger down the list. Her phone rings. Lorraine. Denise lets it ring 4 times before she answers. Did you figure it out yet? No hello. No how was your day? Mama, I just got home from work. And? You've been thinking about it all day. I know you have. That's how you are, Denise. You think and think and think. So what did you decide? Denise closes her eyes. I haven't decided anything yet. Silence. Then Lorraine's voice cracks, wet with tears. I can't sleep, baby. I keep thinking about what that man might do to Terrell. He came by the house again today, you know. Ray sat in his car out front for 20 minutes, just watching. What kind of man does that? I'm scared, Denise. I'm so scared for your brother. The tears sound real this time, but Denise has heard real tears from her mother before, and she has heard performed tears, and after 41 years, she still cannot always tell the difference. Mama, I hear you. The crying stops. That fast. That clean. Call me when you decide, Lorraine says, and hangs up. Denise stares at the phone in her hand. Twice in one day. The same cycle twice. Demand, guilt, tears, and then the instant off switch, the moment Denise signals anything other than immediate compliance. She sets the phone on the nightstand and lies back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Something about Terrell's story does not add up. If the car was totaled in an accident, insurance should have covered at least part of it. Denise asked about insurance this morning, and Lorraine deflected so fast she practically left skid marks. Terrell's texts say nothing about insurance. Keisha's text says nothing about insurance. Nobody in her family has mentioned a claim, a denial, a deductible. Nothing. Denise makes a mental note to ask Terrell directly about the insurance. Tomorrow, when she is not exhausted, when she can hear his voice and know whether he is lying. She thinks, briefly, about the conference room today. The way Kang Jun-so looked at her when she finished speaking, not through her, not past her. At her. Like she was a person worth seeing. She cannot remember the last time anyone looked at her like that. But the thought dissolves as quickly as it arrives, swallowed by the thing she cannot stop turning over in her mind. The insurance question. The missing money. The story that has a hole in it big enough to drive a car through. Her mother will call again tomorrow. Denise knows this the way she knows the sun will rise. And when that phone rings, she will have to decide whether to keep being the family vault or whether she is finally ready to change the locks. But first, she needs to find out what really happened to that car. By noon on Wednesday, Denise is standing in a cracked asphalt parking lot in Essex, staring at a hand-painted sign that reads Ray's Auto Palace. She has taken a half day from work, the first unscheduled time off she has requested in 6 years at Hanel Group. Pam watched her pack her bag and said nothing, which was Pam's way of saying everything. The lot holds 24 vehicles in various states of neglect. A double-wide trailer serves as the office. Denise parks her Civic between a dented Altima and a pickup truck missing its rear bumper, and she sits for a moment with her hands on the wheel. She has no appointment, no plan beyond the truth. The trailer door is propped open with a cinder block. Inside, a heavy-set man in his late 50s sits behind a metal desk, cluttered with paperwork. A gold tooth catches the fluorescent light when he looks up. Help you? I'm Denise Carter, Terrell's sister. Ray Gaskins leans back in his chair. Studies her. His expression shifts from neutral to something harder, not hostile, but close. You here to pay his tab? I'm here to understand it. Ray's eyebrows lift slightly. Whatever he expected from Terrell's sister, this was not it. He reaches into a drawer, pulls out a manila folder, and drops it on the desk between them. Your brother bought a 2019 Dodge Charger from me 8 months ago. Installment plan. Paid 3 months, then nothing. Ray opens the folder and turns it so Denise can see. Then he sold my car to some man in Virginia. Pocketed $6,000 cash. Filed a police report saying the vehicle was stolen. The room tilts. The buyer in Virginia gets pulled over 2 months later. Ray continues. VIN comes back flagged. Stolen vehicle. Except it ain't stolen. Your brother sold. That's how I found out. He slides a stack of printed text messages across the desk. These are between me and Terrell. Read them yourself. Denise picks up the texts. Her hands are steady, but her pulse is hammering so loud she can feel it in her teeth. The messages confirm everything Ray just said. Terrell pleading, then lying, then threatening, then pleading again. Then Ray says the thing that stops her cold. Your mother already knows, by the way. She called me herself about 3 weeks back. Asked me to give Terrell more time. Said her daughter would take care of it. He shrugs. I told her the same thing I'm telling you. 10,000 by the end of the month, or I press charges. 3 weeks ago, before Lorraine ever called Denise crying, before your brother could get hurt, before the invocation of Harold's grave, Lorraine already knew the truth, knew there was no accident, knew there was no totaled car, and called Denise anyway, with a story designed to open her wallet. Your brother ain't in danger from me, Ray says. I don't do all that, but fraud is fraud. Denise sets the folder down carefully, as if it might detonate. Thank you, she says. Ray nods once. You seem like a decent woman. I'm sorry you got a brother like that. Denise walks to her car on legs that feel borrowed from someone else. She sits behind the wheel for 20 minutes, engine off, hands in her lap, staring at the cracked windshield of the Altima beside her. Her mother knew. The certainty settles into her chest, like a stone dropped into deep water. Lorraine knew, because Terrell confessed weeks ago. Lorraine knew the car was not totaled. Lorraine knew there was no accident, no legitimate debt, no real danger. And Lorraine called Denise anyway, crying, guilting, invoking a dead man's memory, because Lorraine understood that the truth would never open Denise's wallet. Only a lie would do that. So Lorraine lied. Denise starts the car and drives home in silence. No radio, no phone, just the hum of the engine and the sound of 22 years of loyalty, rearranging themselves into something she does not yet have a name for. That evening, she calls Terrell. She does not reveal what she knows. She keeps her voice casual, almost light, the way you handle a jar you suspect might be cracked. Hey T, quick question. What happened with the insurance on the car? After the accident? Silence. Too long. They denied the claim, Terrell says finally. Said I didn't have the right coverage. Which company? Another pause. She can almost hear him calculating. I gotta call you back, Nisei. He does not call back. Thursday morning. The weekly operations meeting on the 8th floor. Denise sits at a long conference table, surrounded by property managers and department heads, the only black woman in the room, the only person who came up through facilities rather than a management track. Halfway through a discussion about HVAC contracts, a property manager named Wallace cuts her off mid-sentence. Right, but what I was saying. Denise stops talking, folds her hands, waits. Later, an HR coordinator named Beth leans toward her with a smile that shows too many teeth. I just want to check in. Are you comfortable managing people who used to be your peers? Denise meets her eyes. I'm comfortable doing my job, Beth. Thank you for your concern. The smile falters. Beth does not ask again. After the meeting, Junso asks Denise to stay. The conference room empties. The door closes. Junso remains seated, a folder open in front of him, her maintenance binder, the one she compiled on her own time 4 months ago, documenting deferred maintenance across the Hanul portfolio. "How long have you had this?" he asks. "About 4 months. Why didn't you bring it to Mr. Lassiter?" Denise meets his eyes. "I did, twice." The silence that follows says more than any sentence could. Jun-so holds her gaze for a beat, then looks back at the binder. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly, a reaction so slight most people would miss it. But Denise has spent her life reading rooms, and she reads this one clearly. He is angry, not at her. "I'll read this tonight," he says. Then, quieter. "Thank you for doing work that no one asked you to do, Ms. Carter. That is rarer than you think." Thursday night, Lorraine calls. "Have you sent the money yet?" "No, Mama." "Denise, your brother could get hurt." "I went and talked to Ray Gaskins yesterday." Dead silence. When Lorraine speaks again, her voice has changed. The warmth is gone. The tears are gone. What remains is something raw and cold. "Why would you do that?" "Because I wanted to understand what I was paying for. You had no business going over there. This is family business. You handle it in the family." "Then tell me the truth about what happened with the car, Mama." "Terrell made a mistake. That's all you need to know." Lorraine's voice hardens. "Now, are you going to help your brother or not?" Denise says, "I need to think." Lorraine hangs up without another word. Friday afternoon. The lobby security desk calls down to facilities. A man claiming to be Denise's brother is asking for her. Denise's stomach drops. She has never had personal business cross the threshold of her workplace. She takes the elevator up with her jaw tight and her hands clenched at her sides. Terrell stands in the marble lobby in a wrinkled tracksuit, smelling like cigarettes, his voice too loud for the space. He spots Denise and performs. "Sis, just wanted to see your new office. Congratulate you in person." But his eyes are not on her. They are scanning. The marble floors, the brass Hanol insignia, the security desk, the elevators. He is measuring, pricing. Denise guides him outside. On the sidewalk, the performance drops. "Niece, I need that money." His voice goes low. "Hard. Ray gave me till the end of the month. If I catch a fraud charge, I'm done. You know what that means for a black man with my record. You committed fraud, Terrell. You sold a car you didn't own." His face flickers. Surprise, then anger, then a rapid shift into wounded self-pity. "I was desperate, trying to get on my feet. You wouldn't understand. You got a career. Where's the $6,000 you got for selling the car?" He looks away. "It's gone." "Gone where?" No answer. "I'm not giving you $12,500, Terrell." He steps closer. His voice drops. "Then what about 10? Ray said he'd take 10. Denise goes still. She never told Terrell about her conversation with Ray. She never mentioned the $10,000 settlement figure, which means either Ray contacted Terrell after her visit, or Terrell has been in closer contact with Ray all along than anyone admitted. She files this away, says nothing, turns and walks back into the building. 30 feet away, Jun-so steps out through the side exit, just in time to catch the end of it. A man in a wrinkled tracksuit crowding a woman in a navy polo, her spine rigid, her face unreadable. He does not hear the words, but he sees the body language. He watches until Denise disappears through the lobby doors. Then he goes back inside. At 4:47 p.m., an email arrives in Denise's inbox. Professional subject line, standard project language. Jun-so wants to schedule a working session Monday morning to discuss the maintenance binder findings. At the bottom, below his signature, one line that has nothing to do with maintenance. "I hope the rest of your day improves." Denise reads it 3 times. Saturday. Lorraine summons Denise to her house in Woodlawn for dinner. When Denise walks through the front door, it is not dinner. It is a jury. Terrell sits on the couch, arms crossed. Keisha perches on the love seat beside her husband Devin, who has never contributed $1 to anyone's anything in his life. Aunt Patricia occupies the recliner by the window, Bible in her lap, face already set in judgment. Lorraine stands in the kitchen doorway like a general surveying the field. Aunt Patricia opens. "Baby, I know you work hard, but family is family." Keisha adds, "If something happens to Terrell, how are you going to live with yourself?" Devin, leaning back with his legs spread wide, contributes, "It's just money, Denise. You can make more." Denise looks around the room. Every face is turned toward her. Every mouth is ready to tell her what she owes. No one is looking at Terrell. No one is asking Terrell a single question. Did any of you ask Terrell what he actually did? Silence. Lorraine steps forward. That's not what this is about. It's exactly what this is about. Denise stands, looks at her mother. "You knew, Mama. You knew he sold that car and committed fraud. You knew before you ever called me. Ray told me you called him 3 weeks ago asking for more time, and you still told me Terrell was in an accident. You lied to my face." The room detonates. Terrell jumps up. "So what? You gonna let me go to jail?" Keisha's voice pitches high. "Denise, why are you being like this?" Devin shakes his head like he is watching something embarrassing. Lorraine's eyes fill with tears. Real ones this time, which makes them more dangerous, not less. Aunt Patricia's voice cuts through the noise. Quiet. Final. "Your father would be so disappointed in you." The words land like a blade between Denise's ribs. She feels the air leave her body, feels 22 years of obedience rise up in her throat, begging her to sit back down, apologize, write the check, be the good daughter, be the vault, be the one who holds it all together. She walks out the front door without another word. She drives home with her jaw clenched so tight her teeth ache. She does not cry. Crying is a luxury she cannot afford right now. The radio stays off. The phone stays silent. The only sound is the hum of the engine and the roar of blood in her ears. She is alone now, completely. The whole family has turned its back, and she knows, with the cold certainty of someone who has finally crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed, that they are not done with her yet. Whatever comes next will be worse. Sandra Meacham from HR is waiting at the facility's hub entrance when Denise arrives Monday morning at 7:52, and she is not alone. A security officer stands 2 steps behind her, hands folded, eyes neutral. Denise stops walking. Her bag slides down her shoulder. "Ms. Carter," Sandra says, "we need to speak with you privately." Sandra's office on the 6th floor is small, beige, and smells like burned coffee. Sandra sits behind her desk, opens a folder, and speaks in the careful, measured tone of someone reading from a liability script. An anonymous complaint was filed with this office Friday evening, alleging that you falsified your employment application. Specifically, that you failed to disclose a prior misdemeanor conviction for theft under $1,000. Denise's blood goes cold. "I have never been arrested," she says. "I have never stolen anything in my life." Sandra turns the folder around. Inside is a scanned court document from the District Court of Maryland, dated 7 years ago. The name on the document is Denise E. Carter. The address is in Woodlawn, her mother's house. Denise stares at the paper. The letters swim. "Company policy requires us to investigate any discrepancy between an employee's application and available records," Sandra says. "You are being placed on administrative leave, effective immediately, pending verification. Your badge, please." Denise's hands move before her mind catches up. She unclips her badge and sets it on Sandra's desk. The plastic hits the wood with a sound that is far too small for how much it costs her. The security officer walks her to the facilities hub to collect her bag. Pam is standing at her station, watching, her face tight with a fury that has nowhere to go. Denise cannot meet her eyes. She picks up her bag, walks to the parking garage, and sits in her Civic with the engine off, staring at the concrete wall. Friday evening. The complaint was filed Friday evening, the same day Terrell stood in the marble lobby scanning the company name off the wall, measuring everything, pricing everything. Behind her, in the building she just left, Pam Okafor sets down her clipboard, walks to the elevator, rides to the 14th floor, and asks to see Yoon Hae-jin. Someone is trying to destroy the best employee this company has, Pam says. Mr. Kang needs to know what just happened. Within the hour, Jun-so has the HR file on his desk. He reads the complaint twice. Something bothers him. The complaint is anonymous, but it includes a scanned court document. A specific, physical record attached to a digital submission. Where would an anonymous tipster get a scanned misdemeanor record for a facilities coordinator? He calls Daniel Park. Verify this record with the Maryland court system. Everything. Name, prints, physical description. And trace the submission. I want to know where that scan came from. Then he calls Sandra Meacham. No further action on the Carter matter until verification is complete. That is not a suggestion. Denise does not go home. She parks behind a Wawa and calls the District Court of Maryland from her car. She is transferred 4 times. She explains the situation 3 times. Finally, a clerk pulls the record. Misdemeanor theft, filed 7 years ago. Denise E. Carter. The clerk pauses. Physical description on the arrest report lists the subject as 5'2", 140 pounds. Denise is 5'7", 165. Thank you, she says, and hangs up. 5'2", 140. Keisha is 5'2". Keisha has always been small. Denise dials her sister's number. Keisha picks up on the 3rd ring, bright and oblivious. Hey girl, what's... Keisha, when you got caught stealing from Macy's 7 years ago, whose name did you give the police? The brightness dies. What replaces it is a silence so total Denise can hear Keisha's breathing change. Keisha, Mama told me to. The voice comes out small, childlike. The voice of a woman who has never once been required to carry the weight of her own choices. She said your record was clean and it wouldn't matter. She said they'd just drop it and nobody would ever... Did you know Terrell sent this to my job? What? No. Denise, I didn't know he... Denise hangs up. She sits in the parking lot watching people walk in and out of the Wawa with their coffee and their ordinary Monday mornings, and she thinks about her mother handing Denise's name to the police like a blank check, like something that could be spent because Denise would never notice the withdrawal. Her phone buzzes, a number she does not recognize. Miss Carter, this is Kang Jun-so. His voice on her personal phone is disorienting. A CEO calling an employee who was escorted from the building 3 hours ago. The court record verification is underway, he says. I do not believe the complaint is legitimate. I also want you to know that the digital submission has been traced. The email originated from a prepaid phone account, but the scanned document contains metadata from a device registered to a Terrell Carter. Denise closes her eyes. She knew. She knew from the moment Sandra opened that folder, but hearing it confirmed, her brother's name attached to the weapon used to destroy her career, is different from suspecting it. Suspicion leaves room for doubt. This leaves nothing. Ms. Carter, Jun-so says, who in your life would benefit from you losing this job? The question is so precise it cracks something open. Denise is a private woman. Her family's dysfunction is something she has carried behind a steady face and a closed door for her entire adult life. But the directness of the question, the fact that he already knows the answer and is asking her to say it out loud, loosens something in her chest. My brother filed that complaint, she says, because I wouldn't give him my bonus. Tell me. So she does. Not a summary, not the clean version. She tells him about the $14,000, about Ray's Auto Palace, and the car Terrell sold, and the police report he faked. About her mother calling 3 weeks before, already knowing the truth, and lying anyway. About the family dinner where everyone sat in judgment and nobody looked at the man who actually committed the crime. She expects pity, or distance, the careful retreat of a CEO who realizes his promoted employee comes with liabilities. Jun-so is quiet for a moment. Then, in Korean, there is a concept. Hyodo. Filial duty. It is considered one of the highest virtues, but I have watched it become a cage. I have watched it consume people who deserve to be free. A pause. I know what it is to have a family that confuses consuming you with loving you. Denise's eyes burn, not because he has fixed anything, because he has understood. "I will handle this," he says. "The investigation will be thorough and fair. That is my word." While Denise sits in that parking lot, Greg Lassiter walks into Sandra Meacham's office and settles into the chair across from her desk. "Given the disruption to the department," he says, straightening his tie, "I think we should consider termination rather than reinstatement. The role was a stretch for her, frankly. I can resume oversight of facilities operations until—" In the adjacent supply closet, Pam Okafor stands motionless with a case of paper towels in her arms. She listens to Greg try to bury a woman whose work he has been stealing for 4 years. Then she sets down the paper towels, rides the elevator to 14, and tells Hee-jin every word. By 3 p.m., Jun-so has the information. An audit request for all of Greg's departmental reports over the past 2 years appears in Daniel Park's inbox before end of business. Tuesday night. Lorraine calls. Denise answers because she needs to hear what her mother will say now that the bomb Terrell built from Denise's stolen identity has gone off. What Lorraine says is this: "None of this would be happening if you had just given Terrell the money like I asked." Denise closes her eyes. "You had to go play detective," Lorraine continues. "Had to make a scene at dinner. Had to embarrass this family. And now look. You about to lose your job. For what? For me. Pride. Mama, if you lose that job, you won't be able to help it. Anybody? Not me. Not Terrell. Not Keisha." Lorraine's voice drops into something almost tender, which makes it worse. "And then what good are you? What good are you?" 4 words. Lorraine probably does not even hear what she has said, but Denise hears it, hears the entire architecture of her life in those 4 words, the blueprint her mother drew at Harold's funeral and has been building on for 22 years. "You, the strong one, you hold this family, you figure it out." And underneath all of it, the foundation that was always there but never spoken until now. "Your value is what you provide. Stop providing, and you are nothing." Denise hangs up. She opens her laptop. She starts typing. Every cash transfer, every bail payment, every electric bill, car repair, emergency loan that was never repaid, 10 years of bank statements, Venmo records, Western Union confirmations. She works until 2 a.m., and when she finishes, the number on the screen is $143,672. She has earned roughly $480,000 in the last decade. She has given her family nearly a third of everything she has ever made. She drives a car with 187,000 miles and a cracked molar she cannot afford to fix. Denise saves the file, closes the laptop. "I'm done," she says out loud to her empty apartment. Wednesday morning. Daniel Park calls Jun-so. The fingerprints do not match. The physical description does not match. The misdemeanor belongs to someone else, filed under Denise Carter's name 7 years ago. "There's more," Daniel says. His voice has the careful flatness of a lawyer delivering news he wishes he didn't have. "During the financial background review, I found federal tax filings. Lorraine Carter has been claiming Denise as a dependent for the past 4 years, reporting her financial support as gifts from a dependent child, claiming her address." Jun-so's hand tightens on the phone. "How much?" "Over 22,000 in fraudulent credits, built entirely on her daughter's identity, without her daughter's knowledge." Jun-so reads the relevant pages of the report twice. Then he sets it down, looks out the window at the Baltimore skyline, and thinks about a woman sitting in a Wawa parking lot, with her entire life crumbling. A woman whose family did not just lean on her. They built a financial structure on top of her and never told her she was the foundation. He picks up the phone. "Miss Carter, how soon can you come in? There are things you need to see." Denise walks into Hanyul Harbor Tower on Wednesday afternoon without a badge. The lobby security officer looks at his list, finds her name, and waves her through with a nod that carries something she does not expect: respect. Jun-so is waiting in the 14th floor conference room. Daniel Park sits beside him. Sandra Meacham occupies the far end of the table, her face carefully neutral. A folder sits in front of the empty chair meant for Denise. She sits, opens the folder. The first page is the court verification. Fingerprints do not match. Physical description does not match. Misdemeanor belongs to another individual who used Denise's name and address. The second page is the metadata trace on the anonymous complaint, linking the scanned document to a device registered to Terrell Dwayne Carter. The third page stops her breathing. Federal tax filings. 4 years of returns filed by Lorraine Maxine Carter listing Denise E. Carter as a dependent, claiming Denise's address, reporting Denise's financial support as qualifying gifts, $22,300 in fraudulent tax credits, built on Denise's identity, like a house built on someone else's land. Denise reads the page twice. Her hands do not shake. Something past shaking is happening inside her. Something tectonic and quiet, like a fault line finally releasing after decades of pressure. Ms. Carter, Junso says, you are reinstated immediately, with full back pay for the leave period. The complaint has been determined to be fraudulent, and you are the victim, not the subject. Sandra Meacham clears her throat. On behalf of the company, I want to apologize for... There is more, Junso says, and Sandra stops talking. He looks at Denise. Mr. Lassiter advocated for your termination while you were on leave. He also attempted to reclaim oversight of your department. An audit of his reports over the past 2 years has revealed a pattern of misrepresenting subordinates' work as his own, including yours. His employment has been terminated, effective this morning. Denise blinks. Greg is gone. The man who took credit for her crisis response, who buried her maintenance binder, who tried to use her suspension as a ladder. Gone. Additionally, Junso continues, I have directed HR to implement a new policy. All anonymous complaints containing attached documents must be source verified before any employee action is taken. No one in this company will be suspended on the strength of an unverified accusation again. He says this to the room, but he is looking at her. And Denise understands what he has done. He has not just defended her. He has built a wall between her and anyone who might try this again. He has changed the system, not just the outcome. Thank you, Mr. Kang, she says. Her voice is steady. Her eyes are not. The facility's hub feels different when she walks back in. Not the room itself. Same fluorescent lights, same humming machinery, same faint smell of industrial cleaner. What is different is the way her team looks at her. Pam is standing at the entrance with a cup of coffee, her expression holding back a storm of emotion behind a single, firm nod. Carlos and Darnell straighten up at their stations. Yolanda, who runs the night cleaning crew, has come in early just to be here. Nobody makes a speech. Nobody applauds. They just look at her, and in their eyes, Denise sees something she has been starving for without knowing it. Recognition from people who saw her clearly all along. She sits at her desk, opens her computer. A message from Junso sits in her inbox, sent 20 minutes ago. Welcome back, Ms. Carter. Your binder saved 3 buildings from emergency shutdowns while you were out. Please don't leave again. Denise presses her lips together hard, almost laughs, almost cries. Does neither. Gets to work. She drives to Woodlawn on Thursday evening. Does not call ahead. Lorraine opens the door in her housecoat, and for a split second her face cycles through surprise, relief, and the beginning of a smile. The smile of a woman who thinks her daughter has come home to make peace, to fold back into the pattern, to be the vault again. Denise hands her a manila folder. I need you to read this, Mama. Lorraine takes the folder, opens it. The first page is the 10-year financial accounting, $143,672 in documented transfers, payments, and support. The second page is the tax fraud summary, 4 years of returns, Denise listed as a dependent, $22,000 in fraudulent credits. The third page is the court record showing a misdemeanor filed under Denise's name for a crime Keisha committed, on Lorraine's instructions. Lorraine's hands begin to tremble. The performance drops. The mask drops. What is underneath is not the commanding general from the family dinner or the weeping mother from the phone calls. What is underneath is an old woman who looks, for the first time, afraid. "Sit down, Mama." Lorraine sits. Denise remains standing. "I'm not going to report you to the IRS. I'm not going to press charges about the misdemeanor. I'm not going to sue you." Denise pauses. Each sentence lands in the silence like a stone into still water. "But I need you to hear what I'm about to say, and I need you to hear it clearly." Lorraine does not speak, does not try. Her eyes are wet, and for once the tears are not a tool. "You told me at Daddy's funeral that I was the strong one, that I had to hold this family together. I was 19 years old, Mama. I was a child. And I believed you, because you're my mother and I loved you and I didn't know any better." Denise's voice does not crack. It has gone past cracking into something harder and clearer, like a blade that has been sharpened so many times it no longer bends. "I have given this family everything I had and things I didn't have. I have gone without so you wouldn't have to, so Terrell wouldn't have to, so Keisha wouldn't have to. And the whole time, Mama, you weren't just taking what I offered. You were taking what I didn't even know I was giving. My name, my record, my taxes, my identity." Lorraine opens her mouth. Denise holds up one hand, and Lorraine closes it. "When I finally got something for myself, one promotion, one bonus, one moment of recognition in 41 years, you didn't call to say congratulations. You called to say, give it to Terrell. And when I said no, you lied to me, turned the family against me, and then Terrell tried to destroy my career using a crime you helped Keisha commit. That is what happened. That is the truth, and I need you to sit in it." The silence in the room is absolute. "I love you, Mama," Denise says, "but I will love you from a distance now, until you learn to see me as your daughter and not your solution." Lorraine's voice comes out broken, small. "I didn't mean for it to be like this. But it is like this, Mama. It is exactly like this. And you let it be." Denise turns and walks to the front door. She does not slam it. She closes it gently, with both hands, until the latch clicks. The gentleness is the most devastating thing she has ever done. Terrell is arrested the following week. Ray Gaskins, true to his word, presses charges for fraud and the false police report. Lorraine calls Denise twice. Denise does not answer. Keisha texts the family group chat. "How can you just let this happen to your own brother?" Denise types one response. "I didn't do this to him. He did this to himself. And you all helped." She mutes the chat, sets the phone down, breathes. The weeks that follow are quiet in a way Denise has never experienced. Not empty quiet, the terrifying silence of isolation. This is different. This quiet has space in it. Room to think without someone else's emergency crowding out her own thoughts. She gets the dental crown. She buys new tires. She puts a deposit on an apartment in Canton. Small, clean, with a bathroom that does not have mold and a window that overlooks the harbor. At work, her world expands. Jun-So asks her to walk one of Hanul's newer properties with him, wanting her structural assessment before the architects deliver theirs. She points out drainage issues they missed. She identifies a ventilation flaw that would have cost 6 figures to fix after occupancy. Jun-So listens without interrupting, takes notes in the margins of the architectural report, and later that week implements her recommendations over the architect's objections. One afternoon, she leaves a container of Pam's jollof rice on his desk with a note. "Pam says you're too skinny. I agree." She hears him laugh through the closed office door. It is the first time she has heard him laugh. The sound is warm and startled, like something that has been locked away and forgotten. A late evening, both working past 8. Jun-So finds Denise in the facilities hub, reviewing emergency protocols. He sits down across from her desk, and they talk for 2 hours. He tells her about his father, Kang Dae-ho, who built Hanul from nothing, and then suffered a stroke, and now wants to sell the company to a conglomerate that would gut its workforce. He tells her about his sister, Min-ji, who struggled with depression while their father focused exclusively on grooming his heir. I was supposed to protect her, Junso says. I was her older brother, and I was so busy surviving my father's expectations that I didn't see how much she was drowning. Denise is quiet for a moment. Then, you didn't fail her. You were surviving the same house she was. You can't save someone from drowning when you're underwater too. Junso looks at her. The expression on his face is not attraction alone. It is recognition, the look of someone who has been speaking a language no one else understands and has suddenly found another speaker. Hanil Group's annual stakeholder reception fills the Harbor Tower's top-floor event space on a Saturday evening. Crystal and skyline and people in clothes that cost more than Denise's old monthly rent. Junso asked her to attend, not as facilities staff, as a guest. You saved that building, he said. You deserve to stand in the room where people celebrate it. Denise wears a navy dress she bought with her own money, the first new clothing she has purchased in over a year. Simple cut, clean lines. She looks like exactly who she is, a woman of substance who does not need decoration to command attention. Junso introduces her to his father. Kang Dae-ho is smaller than she expected, partially recovered from his stroke, sharp-eyed, imperious, leaning on a cane he clearly resents. My son tells me you are the reason Harbor Tower still stands, Dae-ho says. Your son built a company worth saving, Denise replies. I just know where the pipes are. Dae-ho studies her for a long moment, the kind of assessment that most people would find intimidating. Denise holds his gaze without flinching. She has survived Lorraine Carter. This man does not scare her. Dae-ho turns to Junso and says something in Korean. Junso translates with a slight smile. He says you remind him of my mother. She also had no patience for nonsense. The following Monday, Junso formally declines the merger. He tells his father in a phone call that Denise, working late, overhears through the open door of the facilities hub's upper office. Not the words, but the tone. Junso's voice is calm, firm, and carries the weight of someone who has made a decision he will not reverse. She learns the details later, from Pam, who heard it from Hye-jin. Junso told Dae-ho that he will not gut the company's local workforce to satisfy a deal that benefits only shareholders, that the people who built Hanuel are not interchangeable parts to be discarded. Denise recognizes the shape of what he has done. He has closed his own vault, drawn his own line, told his own parent, I love you, but I will not let you consume what I am building. They are both standing now, both on their own ground. 6 weeks after the confrontation at Lorraine's house, Denise's phone rings on a Sunday morning. She almost does not answer. Lorraine's voice is different, smaller, less certain, stripped of the machinery that has driven it for 2 decades. I filed amended tax returns, Lorraine says. Patricia told me I was wrong. About a lot of things. A long pause. I don't know how to fix this, Denise. Fixing it is your work to do, Mama, not mine. For the first time in 22 years, that work is yours. I don't want to lose you. Then learn who I am, not what I can do for you. Who I am. The call ends. It is not a reconciliation. It is an open door with conditions. And for the first time, Denise is the one holding the key. Late on a Friday evening, the building is nearly empty. Denise is in the mechanical room on the basement level, clipboard in hand, checking a pressure valve. The work she has always done, quietly, thoroughly, with the kind of care that most people never see and fewer ever acknowledge. She hears footsteps and looks up. Junso leans against the doorframe, hands in his pockets, watching her. Not because he needs something, not because there is a crisis or a meeting or a report. He is just there. You need something, Mr. Kang? Junso. She pauses, sets her clipboard down. You need something, Junso. He steps into the room. The fluorescent light hums above them. Somewhere in the building, a pipe clicks through its cycle. The sounds of a structure that works because someone cares enough to make it work. I need you to know something, he says. You are not what you give. You are not what they took. You are not the money or the bail or the extra shift or the family holding it all together. He holds her gaze. You are Denise, and Denise is more than enough. She looks at him for a long time. Her eyes are bright, but she does not cry. She has done enough crying for things she did not break. She nods once, picks up her clipboard, goes back to the valve. Jun-so does not leave. He stays, leaning against the doorframe, watching her work. Not because she needs him to. Not because he is waiting for something. Because he wants to be near someone who is finally, fully, her own. If you've ever carried a family that acted like your strength was their right, not your sacrifice, like this video and subscribe. On this channel, we tell stories for women who know what it costs to keep everybody else afloat.